Welcome, everyone, and those that are joining us online as well. I'm Stephen McBride. I'm the Assistant Director of Graduate Student Success here for the College of Engineering at Purdue. And a lot of the things that I deal with on a daily basis are student relationships on campus, how they're preparing for their future careers, and are they developing at the right pace that can help them to achieve their future career goals and to be the best version of themselves possible. So I'm joined here with Emily Garcia, one of our mentoring fellows. So the college had 3 mentoring fellows selected in the 2022 year, and they have stayed on for 2023 spring semester to continue their work of evaluating mentorship and creating better opportunities for our students and helping students to re-examine their mentoring relationships. So for some background on things that they did last year, we're developing a new plan for students to gauge their growth while they're in graduate school, seeing how faculty, student, advisor relationships were and what the pitfalls were in some of those situations and what we could do better for our students, in addition to a fall and spring workshop series. So in the fall, went over some topics related to mentorship and faculty student relationships and what students can do and what advisors could do to be the best in those relationships as well. And so today, kicking off our spring section of workshops as well, we're going to review how to just re-examine those mentoring relationships, go back over some of those things that maybe we haven't thought about in a while about mentorship, and then also talk about some ways that we can gauge our development and our growth. So Emily and I will tag team this and go through some of these slides that will really help us go through the topic as well. And so I want to just briefly go over how this will go today. So we want to go over what mentor and mentee responsibilities are in that relationship, because there's a different dynamic depending on what side of the table that someone's on. See what the benefits of successful mentoring look like, and then the pitfalls that are common among people that are being mentored and those that are mentoring others. And then Emily will run into our individual development plans, and then we'll leave some time at the end to go over any questions from those online and those here in person with us, and just other mentoring resources that are available on campus, available through the College of Engineering, and those that are available to graduate students and advisors all across the country as well. And so as we think about the mentee and mentor responsibilities, Emily, if you can go to that next slide for us. Might have to click it since it was away on Zoom. All right. And so on this slide, these are just the differences in responsibility. So if you are a mentee, in this case, it would most commonly be the graduate student. So if you are trying to learn from someone else, these are the types of responsibilities that you will have, and this is what students will have all across the college. So they really have to be the ones that are in charge of their academic careers. If you think about it, some of the graduate students that come, they are coming straight from undergrad. So that undergrad student versus graduate student mentality can sometimes be a culture shock for many students, because they might have been helped a lot more with the advisor. They might have been told a lot more from their department what steps that they needed to take towards graduation and for their development. Whereas the graduate student side of things, it's really driven by the students themselves. So they are thinking about things from a different angle. They're adults now. They have an undergraduate degree. Many of them are also coming from industry careers or from other career paths as well. So in many ways, they're looking at this from a different lens. So when they are trying to think about how can I grow and develop as a graduate student, they want to make sure that this is very applicable, very tangible for things that will impact their future careers. And they also really need to look for opportunities that are available. In undergraduate, there might have been things with other undergraduate organizations, other opportunities on campus that were geared more towards that younger audience that are trying to figure out life. But graduate students, again, are in a different mentality. So when they're looking for opportunities, it's different workshops, it's different professional development events. It might be an online course or a LinkedIn course that would help students. And so thinking about that from a different angle as well, these all fit into how a mentee is coming in to graduate school. So when we think about the mentors, their responsibilities are a little bit different, and they need to realize where their mentees are coming from, what types of things that they want. If they are wanting to do a faculty career for after they graduate, then they're going to be much more interested in the ins and outs of a daily life of a faculty member and needing to know, hey, how, when I come into graduate school, can I prepare myself for that career upon graduation? What types of things do I need to focus on that maybe I had never thought of before? So that's the type of mentoring that they're looking for. And so they want feedback on their performance. They want to see how they can be better. And they want your opinion as a faculty member on what that should look like. And in many ways, they want to work towards and see that they are making progress. They don't want to be here for 5+ years and not really know how they were growing and developing versus their peers. So they want to be able to set benchmarks and be able to realize after the first year, after the 4th year, that they have made a lot of progress towards those goals. So from that mentor side of things, in many cases, this is the faculty member. It doesn't always have to be their advisor, though. Sometimes you have somebody else on your committee that is serving as a mentor to you. Sometimes it is a peer that has been here for a few years longer than you have. So maybe a first-year student is looking to somebody who's been here for 3 or 4 years as somebody that can mentor them through things as a peer. And in other ways, it might be an administrator in the department or somebody else that is serving in that mentor role. So realizing what role that the mentor is playing also plays into the responsibilities that they have as well. And so they want, the mentee is needing the mentor to help them see what professional development would be the most beneficial. What helped you the most if you're serving as a mentor back in your day, or what do you wish you would have done more? And how can this individual that you're mentoring learn from you and really realize where your limits are? For those that are mentoring somebody who doesn't want a faculty career, maybe they want to go to a government position, national lab, maybe an industry career. Maybe if the faculty member has only ever been in academia, they want to reach out to their colleagues that have gone and done other careers and people that they've met at conferences, people that they have networked with in the past, that they could serve as an intermediary between, that they can introduce their student to and help them through that growth and development process. Also need to know what courses would be the best for me to take. What types of workshops should I be working on? One practice that I did as a graduate student with my faculty advisor, we would meet about every couple of months, and it was a responsibility that I had to go into the world and find a career that I wanted upon graduation. So I know what kind of things that I want to do. I know what skills that I have and the things that interest me. So then I need to just go find any type of job posting that exists, no matter where it is, that I think, hey, when I graduate, that's what I want to do. And we would go and sit through that for about a half an hour, just back and forth, going line after line. They say in the job description, this, is that something that you want to do? Are you comfortable with the things that maybe you haven't really thought of that would be part of this? What about the types of meetings that you would have on a regular basis? What about the types of people that you'd be interacting with? You need to be thinking about this from every angle. And then they go through the job responsibilities, the qualities that they're seeking, any types of certifications. And then we go through and be like, yeah, you're working towards this progress. So that I think that's fine. But maybe on this, have you considered going to a workshop that might help you with grant writing? Have you thought about the other aspects of the job of skills that they want that you haven't really worked on a lot? And then we could map out over those next several years how I needed to be progressing towards the job that I wanted upon graduation. And so I think that is a really good thing to think about from a mentor side of things. How can you make sure that your mentee gets the most out of this relationship? How can you make sure that they are thriving while they're in graduate school? Or are they just working for you in the lab and, checking a box and moving on, and they're not really much better off than they were when they came into your office the first time? You want to make sure that they are a phenomenal student, because especially when it comes to mentor and mentee relationships, the mentor can also gain a lot by successful mentoring and thinking about what that looks like. So as we come through and think about on the mentor side of things, students that have been mentored well and they've grown a large amount by the experience that they've had, they're going to look to that person that helped them and have an even better relationship. And that will continue to develop more people that are seeing that faculty advisor, the administrator, the peer, as somebody that does an excellent job of this. And there's recognition that comes with that, but also it helps increase the network and showing that the work that that person is doing is quality work. And that is definitely noticed by the administrators in a university, by future employers, if it's a student that's going into another type of career path as well. And so as a mentee is thinking about, how can I do all these things? I know what my responsibilities are, but what does it look like if I do them well? Well, that mentee is going to feel like they have a lot of value in the years that they've put into their side of the mentoring relationship. So they have a whole lot more skills and knowledge that they have built that they can then turn around and mentor others. So they have now become a leader in that regard, whether they thought that that was what they were going to do in the beginning or not. And they also have different techniques that they can use, things that they may have not even really thought of, that are going to really impact their future success as well. And not only have they gained new perspectives on things, but they've thought about their career in a different light. In many ways, maybe they have grown and developed more than they thought that they would have when they came in. Maybe they are a lot better off for that future position that they want to have upon graduation after they have been mentored successfully. And so they can have more confidence. They can go through and feel like they are the type of person that would be excellent for any type of job that comes through. And that helps them during anything that causes most people anxiety or stress, which is talking in front of people, going through job interview processes, networking with one another. If you work on this one-on-one with your mentor over several years, then you have that confidence that's needed, and that's no longer something that gives you a lot of anxiety, but it's rather something that comes one of your strengths. On the other side of things, more thought processes of successful mentoring from the mentor's perspective are thinking about the different collaborators that they could come across, especially those that are in research positions. Maybe your mentoring and networking with that student has developed new relationships that you hadn't thought of before, and different individuals that are now part of your network that can help you achieve your own career success in the long run as well. So there's a lot of satisfaction that comes from that, and you're really helping to create that next generation of leaders. And so in many ways, if you haven't really thought about this from a mentor's perspective, if you are mentoring others and leading them in an effective way, you're creating outstanding leaders for the future, sure. But also this can help your job prospects, as well as you're looking for faculty promotions, if you're looking for tenure. Also, if you're looking to have a career, if it's somebody that is in another career outside of academia, this is looked on very, very much by future career employers as well. So thinking about, am I hiring somebody that's going to help everybody that's on their team? If they are willing to mentor others and help make everybody around them better, then that's the type of person that we want here. And that's also the type of person that we would want to pay a lot of money to stay. So we think about there's a lot of benefits to successful mentoring from all sides of the coin as well. And so what is the next slide that we have? Yes. And so then we talked about what types of things are the responsibilities. We talked about what successful mentoring looks like, but there's common pitfalls as well. There's things that we need to be aware of as mentors and mentees that have been common for a lot of people that don't reach that success. And when they don't have a successful mentoring and mentee relationship, there can be negative perceptions on the student. There can be negative perceptions on that faculty member's ability to develop the students that are under them. So if you have a lack of communication in knowing what those expectations are for either side of the mentor-mentee relationship, then that's going to be a hindrance on the ability to thrive. You need to be aware that there are different working styles. Maybe your mentor doesn't have the same working style as you. Do you need to adapt to theirs? Or is there some type of common ground that you can come to in realizing that there are benefits to your different types of working styles and you can still get a lot done together? Also important to set boundaries. Sometimes mentors want a lot out of their mentees. They really want them to thrive. And sometimes it's like, hey, you only have about 5 years here. So how can we make sure that you're doing every single thing possible to have the best CV possible when you graduate, and you will be this ideal person because it'll be just so full of all these things that you've done, but not realizing what that student's boundaries might be. Maybe they have a family. Maybe they have a spouse at home. Maybe they have a pet at home that they need to be aware of. Maybe there's other things related to the workload, getting burned out by having too much that you have been working on for so long, and realizing that if I do too much in those first couple of years, I really don't care beyond year 3 about my growth and development anymore because I'm just so tired of everything that was on my plate. So realizing that there's boundaries in that regard. There's also boundaries on the mentor's side of things. If the student is constantly saying, hey, I've done this project, I need you to look over it. I need you to meet with me now and debrief this meeting that I had that was great with somebody. Also realizing they have a life outside of everything that they've been doing with you one-on-one, and realizing there are boundaries as far as time commitments as well. There's also maybe topics that they're not as willing to discuss with you about their personal lives and things. So even though you might want to get very close with your mentor and mentee, understanding what those boundaries are and maybe having a boundary conversation every now and then, just to ensure that we're growing and developing in the right way, we're meeting expectations, and we're not falling behind. And so I think that there's a lot of other things that are listed here that you can read through on these slides that we don't necessarily have to go through. Certainly take a picture of them or whatever if need be, but just knowing that there are other things of where you need help beyond what that advisor is giving you or that mentor is giving you. So mentees need to be aware of that and realizing that, hey, there's only so much that maybe this individual can do for me. And maybe there's other things that need to be helped by somebody that's a professional in that type of field, or somebody that can give me advice, even if it's not something serious, but something more where you are reaching the limit of what that advisor or other mentor can give you, and seeking that somebody else might be an expert that can help me as well. And so you don't want to overexert yourself in any type of way there. Mentors, there's a lot of pitfalls as well that you can think about there. You don't want to give too much to the mentee, like we said, but also you don't want to micromanage everything that they do. You want to make sure that the mentee that is working with you is also developing their own knowledge through the process. Maybe their thought process is different than yours in any type of way. And so you need to also let them have a little bit of creative freedom in how they do the project, allow them the opportunity to fail every now and then so that they can learn from some of their mistakes. So you don't want to be looking over their shoulder too much. You want to give them the opportunity to learn and grow. And this can sometimes be helped, even if you're somebody who has a tendency to want your hands in everything that's going on and to really look over the shoulder, to allow them the freedom, and then maybe set follow-up debrief meetings later. Allow them to walk you through the process, allow you to be able to talk about how this could have gone better from your point of view. Anytime that you're doing those types of debrief meetings, it's always good to balance those as well. So just for your information, going through any type of these types of things where you're trying to help somebody else's growth and you see opportunities where you want them to just do something completely different because you hated how they did it, make sure that you're mixing ways that you are complimenting them, recognizing the hard work that they have done, recognizing the effort that they did make, and balancing the good things that they did with the things that need opportunity. And sometimes you can even develop a relationship where eventually you're asking them, okay, I know I have a list of great things that you did and things that we need to work on. Which one do you want to hear first? Because sometimes they prefer to get the bad stuff out of the way so that then they can end the meeting on a high note. In other ways, they really want to work on whatever it is that you have in mind. So they want to get the pleasantries out of the way, and so they can focus on that. So knowing and building rapport can help with that micromanaging as well. And so now, as we think about all that we said, there's a gap that you may have noticed. It's how do I benchmark this? What do I do throughout the time that I'm a mentee or that I'm mentoring someone else to ensure that they have something tangible to benchmark their success? So Emily, tell us a little bit about what we can do.
Yeah, of course. So by raise of hands, who has heard of an individual development plan before, either from a student or done one before? Perfect. So one of the things that we did last semester was to assess what was wrong with our mentoring relationships on campus. And we realized the majority of the students and their advisors or their mentors aren't communicating very well about their expectations, their goals. And so we developed an individual development plan from our version, but in general, an IDP, as they are known, is just basically a tool that's supposed to help you communicate better about your goals and your expectations. when it comes to goals, it's about your academic goals, professional goals, and career goals. And it sort of puts them in a timeline, but also it's like an accountability tool because you're able to hold yourself accountable over time by saying, how much have I progressed to meet those goals? Next slide. So we found out that an IDP is very important because it can help you identify as the mentee or the student what those short-term and long-term goals are. A lot of times we come to graduate school and we're looking for advisors to help us fulfill our research goals, but then it's, well, what else do you hope to accomplish by being a grad student or a postdoc or just being on campus in general? And so with an IDP, it helps you first assess what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and what are you hoping to get out of grad school, not just now, but in the future. And so it's sort of like a visual representation of, you know, how much time are you spending to meet certain goals, what goals are more important than others, and how much have you done to achieve them. It can also allow you to recognize those milestones that you have accomplished. A lot of graduate students felt that their advisors would never really sit down and say, hey, you actually did this, or like over time, just feel like their students weren't really making progress. And with an IDP, you can list down like, hey, I've done this. Last semester, I published a paper. Last semester, I attended a conference and I was able to talk about the project. And so it helps advisors remind themselves, oh, my student has done a lot. Maybe we should progress on different goals, or understand sort of where each student aligns because they might be mentoring multiple ones at the same time. And advisors tend to forget what we have done. So for those that don't know, as I mentioned before, the Mentoring Fellows did create an individual development plan. It's listed on this website for if you want to go. It's tinyurl.com, and then the little link is Purdue IDP. I won't go through the actual website because we did have a seminar last semester on how to create an individual development plan. This time we're just trying to say, hey, it's there, it's a tool. For advisors that aren't aware of, a lot of our departments in the College of Engineering are actually integrating the individual development plan as part of the something that a student has to do throughout their academic career here. Others are more optional about it, but we're encouraging all of our students to create one and definitely at some point have a discussion with their advisors about it. For advisors, we're really hoping that you'll encourage your student to fulfill one. It's especially great if you create one as a student in the beginning of the semester or at the end of the semester, because it either helps establish better communication about those goals that you might have, or it helps as a reflection at the end of the semester what has been accomplished and what still needs to be done the next semester. So one of the things that we heard from feedback on our last seminar was that people wish that they could have seen an actual IDP as an example. So here I have a couple of slides on one that was actually filled out by myself. I'm a student in the industrial engineering department. My department actually does require an IDP now as part of our seminar. And so the IDP tends to have a couple of questions for reflection in terms of what are we hoping to fulfill when it comes to research expectations. So there is a question in our IDP that asks, is there any specific training or safety that a student must take in order to fulfill their research responsibilities? For myself, I have to have HIPAA compliance every time that I am a student on campus, and that's just because I work with a lot of data. Another question that I asked is, you know, when you have, as a student, when you have a research question or you need to check in with someone, is it always going to be your primary advisor or can it be another mentor? And so it asks like, who are those persons that you have to reach out to? In my case, it's actually just my main advisor, and that's what I filled out here. And then something that I didn't know before, which the IDP actually helped me, was to understand like, what are the expectations for a graduate student to actually graduate? Like, what do I have to accomplish in order to have my advisor say, hey, Emily, you're ready to graduate? And it turns out I need to have 3 published papers. And so that's just to show how even I, as a mentoring fellow, am still not fully aware of those expectations that my department has or that my advisor has for me, and an IDP was really helpful for that. In the second page of the slide, there was an actual question about what is the expectation for balancing coursework and research responsibilities. A lot of our advisors aren't very good at discussing this. And so I personally had a few things that I had to go through last semester, and I even recognized I need to have better balance about how do I manage my work and my personal life. And when it came to research, there's a specific section that just goes into research, and it asks how often do I have to meet one-on-one with my advisor? And so these were questions that if I didn't know the answer to, like, I was able to sit down with my advisor as I went through the IDP and ask, well, how much are you expecting us both to meet, and how frequent? And is there a specific layout for how you would like me to come into our meetings and give you updates? There are a lot of other sections. So there's a section where students can list out what skills they're hoping to improve on, why, and how they're going to meet that goal. For myself here, one of my goals last semester was to improve my technical writing because I'm an interdisciplinary student in my research. And so it was really crucial, not just for me, but for my advisor to improve that technical writing component. And so here it's like I wrote down, that's the skill, why it's important, and then how I aim to fulfill that. And the beauty of the IDP that we created is that at the end, there is a page where it does have a signature entries for both the advisor and the student, and that's just to hold your advisor accountable. It also has some notes section where you can write in anything that you discuss with your advisor. Here, I really like this example of myself because when I brought my IDP to my advisor actually took the time to say, hey, Emily, I'm learning new things about you. Like, what are your career goals that we didn't really discuss before? And we had a conversation about like negotiating salary. Which was something that isn't necessarily explicit on the IDP, but the IDP allowed us to have those type of conversations. And if you don't believe me, I'm just one example, but we did have someone else on LinkedIn describe to us how an IDP, the version that we created last semester, was really helpful to our student, Zainab. She discusses how by creating an IDP, she was able to have better goals in terms of coursework, research, improving her mental health, volunteering, networking, and conducting extracurriculars. So we're very happy to see that the IDP is not just helping certain students, helping a lot of students on campus, but one of the things I would really want to emphasize is that students are the ones who take initiative on creating the IDPs, but we really need advisors to be open about discussing the IDP with their students. A lot of the students complained that their advisors are only willing to have conversations about their research updates. And this is actually hindering their performance on campus because a student shouldn't just be here to fulfill research. A student is here to also have a degree that will help them have a better career in the future. And so we really want to make sure that the IDP emphasizes that a student needs to have conversations about professional development, about how to improve certain skills that they're lacking, and then also reflect on how much progress they're making and give them feedback. With that, wrapping up very quickly the IDP, are there any questions on that section?
Are all students aware of this IDP?
We're working on that. So we had a seminar in September last year, which was when by the time we had the IDP officially published online. And a lot of the students that came out learned about the IDP. Some departments have a different version than the one we created. And so we understand that those departments are using a different IDP. We also have had our seminar get recorded and uploaded into YouTube. So we've noticed that a lot of students are actually watching our seminar on that IDP, post the live version of it and using it. We had a conversation with a lot of grad admins in the past month, and we discussed how we need to just have more awareness, not so much from the students, it's actually from the advisors, to say, hey, this IDP is published, it's out there. Some departments do require it for the students. We just need the advisors to be willing to have that conversation with their students to say, hey, do you have an IDP? Like, show me, let's talk about it.
And just to share a little bit more about that, for everybody online, just making sure that you are able to hear. Ask how many people know about the IDPs now, and is this something that's common knowledge? Not yet, as Emily just described, and those are a lot of the things that we're trying to do to make sure that more in the College of Engineering know about this. Some departments have used one for several years now, but it's really not anything that can be used by any student at the university. So certainly those that are in ABE, ME, BME, et cetera, that have their own individual IDPs, defer to that one. Use the one that's been created by your department that's tailored to your experience. Anybody else that wants to gauge their growth and development can begin with ours or work with anybody that's on your committee on just gauging what that looks like. But because not many people had known about these types of resources before, that's why we created the new website. That's why this was developed last year. But thinking about the future, one of the roles that I have as the Assistant Director of Grad Student Success are making sure that our new students are acclimated to all the resources that are available and know how they can benchmark their success as well. So this is something that I'm telling to incoming students starting last summer and those that started this spring. And I will tell the ones that are starting in the fall this next year for 2023 in the fall. And this will be something where they are more aware about this when they come in. So hopefully, in a few years' time, we'll get to a point where every graduate engineering student knows about IDPs, defers to whatever their department has created already, and they're using them to benchmark their success, because we've already seen with Emily's time in using this, how impactful that it's been on her success, and also from other students as well. But thank you for that question. What other types of things do you all have about re-examining your mentoring relationships? And certainly anybody online as well, you can either enter to the chat or unmute.
Yeah, I have like issue, how to, what's the transitional steps, from being a mentee to be a mentor,
Yeah.
I left the grad school, like 2.5 years, I'm a postdoc now. And the problem now, I have to be a mentor for like undergrad or grad students. So I'm still, put myself, to the role of mentee, but I have to, to move to the other side, to play the pie, to explore the other side of the pie.
That's a wonderful topic. I'm very glad that you brought that up as well. So for anybody online, the question was related to how do I transition from being a mentee to now I'm supposed to mentor others. The question came from one of our postdocs in the audience. And yeah, that is a wonderful topic to dive into. Short answer, we could spend an entire workshop just on that transitional phase. But for the purposes of today, plain and simple, an excellent leader in any type of field will always be both a mentee and a mentor. You will have somebody at any phase that you are looking to for advice that can help mentor you, that can grow you to the type of person that you want to be, whether it's somebody that's doing technical mentoring for your field, maybe it's somebody that is totally out of engineering, that is just helping you with life growth or anything like that. You always want to have somebody that is mentoring you. And then you need to figure out through that mentoring relationship, how have you grown? What have you learned? How did things go like that? Was that a good relationship? Were there positive aspects that you would love to replicate? Or were there things about that relationship that you wish you had gotten more out of? And then you need to look for others in the world that you can then share that expertise that you've just gained with. So being a postdoc is actually a wonderful time of your career because you're still learning from the faculty members that you're working with. And now undergrads and other graduate students are now looking to you as this graduate expert. And you're maybe dealing with a little bit of imposter syndrome in some ways of like, I don't know everything. We don't have to know everything, but you had learned a lot during your PhD program. There's a lot that these graduate students could learn from you that helped you succeed. You graduated. Your university allowed you to get this degree because you did all this great work. How did you do that? What could I be doing that could mimic the types of things that you found success with? As you look back on your second year in your graduate program, what were types of things that you wish you had known sooner? What types of things should I be working on that you wish you had gone back and done? Or are there other things that you think maybe should have been included or that made a big impact on you that you definitely think anybody else should be working on? Same thing for undergraduates. In many ways, they're trying to figure out a lot more out than just the technical aspects of their graduate degree. So maybe there's other things in life that you've learned as they're going through different phases that you went through when you were their age. Doesn't matter what that gap has been, they can always look to you. So I would say that in any point, think about how you have grown. Maybe get a little introspective if need be. What made the biggest differences for my graduate journey, for my academic journey, for the types of things related to my research? And how could what in the world could I share with somebody else about this? And as they're looking to you, share little bits of information. You can tiptoe and try to figure out what that mentoring relationship looks like. And certainly anybody that's online or here with us today, if you have questions about mentoring that you want to figure out a little bit more one-on-one, I'm definitely happy to meet with you at any point. If you want to come by my office in Armstrong, if you want to set up a virtual meeting, or if you want me to come to you, we can sit down for 30 minutes, any longer than that, and chat about these types of things and figure out. So that's part of my job that I want to make sure that you're aware of as well. But Emily, do you have anything to add on when undergraduates and others are now looking to you to be a mentor?
Yeah, I think as a mentor, it can definitely be intimidating, but remind yourself that, when you're an undergraduate and you become a graduate student, you're also slowly becoming a mentor. If you have a lab, you're teaching undergrads how to conduct the research just with you. And we're, with the IDP, really emphasizing that students should ask for feedback. As a mentor, you can also ask for feedback. You can ask your students, hey, is there something that you think I could improve on? Or reflect and say, is there something that I don't feel very comfortable in? Is it explaining more the technical component of this piece, or is it more of like my soft skills and just being able to engage my students in what I'm trying to make them learn? This is a great transition into, we actually do have a couple of other resources that we want to talk about. So as I mentioned, last semester, we had an entire seminar series on 4 different topics. So we did have the first one, which goes more into how do I create an individual development plan. The second one went into understanding how do I navigate toxic environments. Sometimes conflicts in mentoring relationships don't necessarily come from a person, but a group of people. Or it might be that in my lab, I don't feel very confident because someone forces me to do a procedure a certain way, but doesn't really explain how. And so that was a great conversation with our guest speaker. She did have a couple of examples, and we had participants who really went into diving, how do I approach it? And then learning, oh, there's a better way to actually approach the situation in a more healthier way. The third one was into how do I build healthy mentorship relationships? So either as a student or a faculty member, or when you're either the mentee or the mentor, how do you initiate a relationship such that it prospers in the best way possible? And the last one, which kind of gets cut off here, was about how do I better diversify my graduate research groups. So as advisors, we really have to include diversity and inclusion when it comes to remembering that our graduate students in our labs aren't necessarily all one size fits all. They all come in with different skills and different needs. And so that was a great conversation with our panel. So those are available. All the recordings are available on the website listed. We also have for students a couple of other resources. Our IDP is just one, but both the College of Engineering and the graduate school have a tons of resources for students to understand how to better navigate different aspects of their mentoring relationships. I really want to highlight for those. Sometimes it doesn't feel for a student very comfortable to advocate about a conflict that they might be having with their advisors or a specific person on campus. And so there is an anonymous tool listed in the College of Engineering, specifically their website down there. And for mentors, as you said, sometimes becoming a new mentor can be a little bit difficult, and how to best become a mentor can be its own challenge of its own. So the College of Engineering actually has a mentoring handbook. So it discusses different approaches of mentoring, how to approach certain conflicts that may arise. And there's also a professional development website from the College of the Graduate School, and they go over different tools listed in there, other workshops, other resources that are available for any mentor who wants to improve their mentoring. And a couple of announcements. Do you want to take?
I'll take these as well. So thank you for taking the time to join us online and in person today for this first workshop of the semester. We'll have a couple more coming up. So one in March and one in April. So the next one that we'll have, it'll be in this same room. So this is PGSC 105 A and B for anybody that's not on in person today. So it'll be the same one. It'll be moved up in the day. So the next two will be from 11:30 to 12:30. And those are both on Wednesdays as well. So March 8th and then April 12th. The next topics that we have are mentoring philosophies and how those might be different, and any unconscious bias on the part of the mentor or the mentee that might hinder the growth and development of those individuals as part of that relationship. So that'll be a great conversation that we'll have in this room and online again in a couple of weeks from now. And then in mid-April, we will have one talking about graduate women mentoring. So thinking about this isn't just a workshop for women in engineering to come and chat amongst each other. This is also a topic that we want everybody to come to and learn about. No doubt you will have somebody that is a different gender than you that you are mentoring or that you are a mentee of. And so this is one of those topics to think about: gender and mentoring, hindrances that have been pitfalls for many years for some of those relationships, and things that can make those relationships much better. So both very exciting topics that we came up with for the rest of the semester. So hope to see you there. If you need any more information or want to chat about those, again, I'm Stephen McBride. We can chat after this about anything. Happy to give you more information. Anything else that you'd like to say about the upcoming webinar/workshops?
No, just to really hope to see you there. It takes a village to create a better village.
Indeed it does. Is that our final one? Any other thoughts or questions? Please let us know. And also, if you don't mind, scan the QR code on your way out. Just a couple of really quick questions about mentoring, about the use of IDPs, so that we can gauge a little bit about how these types of workshops are successful, and also the use of that new individual development plan, if that's helping people, if they know about it a little bit more. So that would help us just to gauge a little bit there and improve these as we go. Any other questions that any of you can think of that we should chat about?
Are you going to share the slide?
Yeah, I'd be happy to share those slides as well. And so what I can do, it might be the easiest on there. Can't remember if I don't think on there we asked for contact information.
So if you fill out the survey, there is a section towards the end that asks if you would like information about further seminars, and you'll input your email. You can use your email from that to follow up with the slides.
Yes, if you do that, then I'll make sure that each of you have those. Otherwise, I can make sure that you have my card or something on the way out as well. Any other questions? Were there anything over here?
Not a question, just a suggestion.
Yeah.
So actually, it's very complex phenomenon. You guys are trying to help students. But I feel that it is like a personalized medicine. The student is different. So if I have 10 plus students, I have to act and behave with each of them differently. The reason is they are different. It's not that you have something common that applies to everyone, correct? Sometimes some students are so shy, they want to hide that.
Oh, yes.
from you. And some of them are so open, they just want to be in your office all the time.
Mhm.
So you have to really manage and handle them carefully.
Mhm.
So I think down the line, you guys might think how one can create a personalized medicine or different scenarios.
Absolutely.
Different kind of students, different mentors even.
Mhm.
Everybody's different kind of character.
No,
And
absolutely. And I do hope that you're able to come to the one on March 8th. That is one of the things that we want to talk about in those types of mentoring relationships that can happen and what that looks like. Because yes, it oftentimes, especially when it's a faculty member that is mentoring students that are coming, students grow and develop in different styles. Some that are very close to graduation are now very focused on what do I need to do to graduate? What do I need to get this paper published? What do I need to do with all the things that the graduate school needs? And they're all over the place on things. Whereas students that are coming in that are brand new, maybe they don't know what they don't know. So those are two different sides of that coin. And then, yeah, you're exactly right. You have just personality differences amongst the students. And one thing that one of my mentors has always done a really great job of is encouraging that all of their mentees are also peer mentors of each other. Constantly saying, hey, I had this person that just graduated. I'm going to set up a meeting for just the two of you to chat. It's fresh on their mind. Anybody that's in the cohort, chat amongst them, figure out things on your own. Did you know about this resource that's available or not? And so I always appreciated that because those were my first points of contact as I was a mentee. So that I'm not wasting the time of my mentor. I can go over these things that my fellow students are much better at anyway. And then, yeah, we all had different relationships with the advisor based on our personalities. But that is one thing that we want to dive into as well. So certainly, if you have other expertise related to that and you do come, please share that in the Q&A portion of that as well.